I first became aware of contemporary music. I think it was John Cage specifically when I came home from high school. Came home from school one day and my father was sitting in front of the radio with my cello, playing along with a John Cage piece that was on like WQXR or something like that. I thought that was pretty wild. So anyway, I had fairly early exposure to new music, to contemporary music, to musics of American contemporary music and European contemporary music, I should say. My first exposure as a composer or as a music maker was in college when I made a tape piece, essentially. I took some recordings of various things that I'd made, also some recordings from, anybody remember the first Frank Zappa Mothers of Invention album? A piece called Help, I'm a Rock. And spliced it all together and made it into a little tape piece with some other sound effects. So from then on, I got just very interested in contemporary music. So I went to University of California in San Diego, where I met and studied with a whole range of composers, from Roger Reynolds, who's a very careful composer dealing with spatial aspects of sound, to Ken Gaburo, who was very involved with text and the sounds of text, and Pauline Oliveros, who was a pioneer in the use of synthesizers and tape techniques, and using tape as a delay, and live improvisation with sound. Within my own quirky or particular kinds of preferences and all that kind of thing, I think I am drawing from all kinds of musics. I mean, I've listened and played many different kinds of musics as I was growing up and over the years. And so these are all, living inside me, in my head. And they're all coming out when I improvise. I mean, that's something that I can't leave behind. I can't leave behind, the Western concerns with melody and harmony and rhythm. But I also can't leave behind the things I learned playing in a gamelan, or the things I learned about polyrhythms with doing some African drumming, or the things my fascination with sound as a sensual material, as something which actually is a building block in itself, not just the organization of sound, but the sound itself. So I guess it's just integrating all that, including the whole, in terms of musics, that includes popular music and includes jazz, as well as European and American classical music. The idea of form, is there. It's all there. It's all sort of, living, as I say, living in my head, and then when I play, it sort of comes out in whatever strange ways that it actually comes out. As a composer, I don't anymore, I should say. I've done it. Been there, done that. I have written pieces. I have notated pieces that for other people to play. But for the last maybe 15 years, I've really focused on the improvisational and real-time composition aspects of making music. Whether there's a loose structure or whether there's no structure, whether it's just a free beginning or not, it's nevertheless, it's on one hand, you could say I'm interested in instant composition. I'm impatient. I don't want to wait to have somebody else play it for me to hear it, or write it down and then play it and hear it, or go back and forth between playing and hearing and writing and playing and hearing and writing. I like to just let it all sort of, flow out in the moment. But I still call myself a composer because there's a lot of preparation for doing that. I may start from concrete sounds made by little instruments or the piano or various sound makers, and then but then I'm expanding it and doing lots of things with those sounds in real time. And I'm making before I am actually playing, I have actually made a number of choices. I have made choices about how, what kinds of processes I'm going to have happen. What kinds are going to be allowed or not allowed, but what kinds am I going to have access to? Confronted with being able to do anything at any time, that sort of becomes kind of daunting, and also it maybe is too open to really deal with. So I have different ways of looking at how I'm going to transform my sounds. In one sense, that's making the same kind of choices that a composer is making. I mean, a composer at the beginning may be making a choice of what instruments to use. Is it going to be an ensemble of 4 people? Is it going to be a solo piece? Is it going to be orchestral? What is the orchestration? And might have some ideas about themes or about keys or about motifs or sort of elements that are going to be the basis for the piece. In one sense, I've done that in restricting the number of things that I can do with the sounds once I make them. So in one sense, my patch or my programming on the computer is a composition that I just keep playing over and over again, putting different things into it. But in any case, they're in one sense, they're sort of compositional decisions that I've made. I think I come out of the American experimental lineage, which essentially expanded the idea of what are the resources available to composers in sound and in ways of organizing sound, ways of putting sounds together, expanding them beyond the old classical or European traditions of melody, harmony, rhythm, and the architectural forms of that. So it's basically coming out of that American experimentation period of anything goes. So that's where my identification was. It's where my heart lay. Sorry for that boom there.